Good day. Hello, William. How's it going? Thank you for your donation. Good day, CJ and Sister Jeannie. Good news. We looks like we have another holy soul who wishes to be consecrated a sister. So we'll be working on that. Maybe after the winter. Yeah. So today's December 7th, 2024. And as you can tell, my voice is rather deep. Something going on there. I've been slacking on taking care of myself, and I'm going to fix that. I'm picking up a humidifier today. The air is so dry here. It's crazy. And it's Pearl Harbor Day. Okay. And it's also the first Saturday of the month. For those who aren't aware, you can send me your confession via email, and we can talk about it. You can email me, and I can explain how we do it. Rather simple, and it's imperfect, okay? But since most people are many moons or many far away from me, it makes it kind of difficult. But we make do, and the Most Holy Trinity understands our situation now most effectively. Let's pray for Nick, who visited us last night. He's a Protestant, Ukrainian. We had some good discussion. I gave him the website, and I can tell he is a thinker and a discerner, and he wasn't, put off by exploring something that he hasn't been accustomed to. Especially, I notice a lot of that. A lot of Protestants, especially if they're proselytizing type, have a hard time, being able to see outside of anything that they were told and learned. All right, I'm going to quick read about one section. Good day, Ben. You coming through? All right. We'll say our Good Day Rising prayers and continue with the fall of the satellite countries from Russia in our history. And so with Nick, I said, have you ever heard of Fatima, Portugal? Nope. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get that knowledge out there. It's really, I guess I was naive in thinking that most people would be able to learn what we learn or know what we know. But if you don't step in the direction of truth, because it's too difficult for you, or you might miss out or lose something else, earthly or worldly, you're not given the insight and the wisdom to recognize other truths, or it just doesn't come into your sphere of existence. And so they remain in this state where they just, it's like zombies almost, and they're able to be manipulated and moved around and influenced very easily. And those evil ones, they know that, and they take advantage of that. Instead of breaking them out of that, they use them. So, all right, let's get started with Good Day Rising prayers. And it's a couple days, or it's a day before a half moon, for those who might be feeling anything. In nomine Deum, Matronam Nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Most Holy Trinity, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly venerate the Divine Family. to mention too, I had sent holy water to Japan for Eve Fatima, and she received it. And when she went outside, either to receive it or right after she received it, there was a rainbow, and so that was something special. Most holy and venerable Trinity, one divine family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. I want to also talk about experiences that we might, that would be considered supernatural. I'll just to touch on it a little bit. We have to be very careful with those, and St. Teresa of Avila and St. John of the Cross always warned about them, not to seek them, because they can make you feel as if they're from quote-unquote God, and but we have to use the process of discernment and truth in order to make sure that we're not deceived. And I'm not talking to anybody in particular here. Just thinking of, I did hear about some instances, and one concerned me, but not in any way that's overly concerning. It's for a soul who's looking into this faith, so not one who's already found it. O most Holy Trinity, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O most Holy Trinity, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the most Holy Trinity for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to heaven, and for the souls in purgatory. O most Holy Trinity, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the most Holy Trinity the graces which are necessary to us. Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, Mother of God, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most Holy Trinity, as envisioned by Saint Lucia as the most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell, but most of all because they offend thee, O most Holy Trinity, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. The fall of Czechoslovakia. The fall of the Berlin Wall tolled the knell for communist rule in Czechoslovakia. On November 17th, a student-led rally of 17,000 in Prague's broad Wenceslas Square demanded the elimination of the leading role of the Czechoslovak Communist Party. Police beat some of the demonstrators, and public anger rapidly escalated. On November 20th, 200,000 filled Wenceslas Square from end to end, calling for a change of government, shouting, "This is it. Now is the time." Every day another rally was held at Wenceslas Square. Every day the already enormous numbers grew. On November 22nd, more than 250,000 changed, resign, resign, as the names of the ministers in the communist government were mentioned. Maybe charged, that was supposed to be. On November 27th, virtually the whole country joined in a 2-hour general strike, and the government declared that the Czechoslovak Communist Party would abandon its leading role. But Prime Minister Adamek did not move fast enough. The still largely communist government he proposed was rejected by Havel and the Civic Forum, and on December 7th, how about that? He resigned as prime minister, followed 2 days later by the resignation of President Gustav Husak. A new non-communist government was instituted, and millions of Czechs and Slovaks celebrated. Warren Carroll, The Rise and Fall of the Communist Revolution. Just a minute, we're getting too hot. The fall of Bulgaria. The day the Berlin Wall fell there was a change in the communist leadership in Bulgaria. Todor Zhukov, who had governed the most obedient satellite of the Soviet Union for no less than 35 years, stepped down under pressure for a reform which he was unable or unwilling to undertake. A month later, 50,000 people rallied in previously holy quiescent Sofia, demanding the resignation of the leading role of the Communist Party. In an incautious outburst caught by a television reporter that destroyed him politically when he was revealed, Mladenov, now leading communist Bulgaria, muttered, "The best thing to do is bring in the tanks." But he brought in no tanks, nor does any such action seem to have been seriously proposed even by his hardline government, which had furnished assassins to the KGB for many years. A gentle, modest philosopher named Zelu Zelev formed a democratic union, and on December 12th, the Bulgarian Communist Party agreed to relinquish its monopoly of power and hold free elections. A second round of these in 1990 made Zelev president. Warren Carroll, page 741 and 742, Rise and Fall of the Communist Revolution. The fall of Romania. There remained standing against the freedom tide the long unchallenged communist dictator of Romania, Nicolae Ceausescu, and his coldly vicious wife, Elena. The Ceausescus loved power with a consuming passion. He kept Romania in poverty while building enormous showcase projects. That just reminded me of something. We need to remember that what's happening in the world right now as we speak is not that people are becoming poorer, but that the people are being robbed. So somebody should start a hashtag about that. You're not poorer, you're being robbed. And more and more need to understand that. The secret police were everywhere, keeping constant watch on everyone, even slightly suspected of dissidence. Every typewriter in Romania was registered with the secret police, along with a sample of its typing, so that any compromising document could be traced to the machine that typed it. You can see how silly these people end up getting. They become really insane, and they move into that stupidity, like things like that. Albeit they are effective, but as far as reasonable, there's no reason for their actions. Assassins tracked the few prominent persons who successfully fled the country and hunted them down to their deaths. On November 20th, with Poland and Hungary and East Germany liberated and Czechoslovakia on the way to liberation, Ceausescu said, or Ceausescu said he would never follow these nations in blocking socialism. Of course, he was enjoying too much of the theft. Once again, as in Poland and in East Germany, the liberation of a communist country began with the church. The government had ordered Tokes to leave his parish. He refused to go. On December 15th, the deadline given for his eviction, 1,000 people rallied unexpectedly to his support. The next day, the number swelled to 5,000. Ceausescu sent in the army. Its officers were reluctant to open fire, but Ceausescu condemned them for indecisiveness, and on the 17th ordered a Chinese solution. About 100 people were killed and hundreds more wounded. The people of the city responded with a general strike as the army began to withdraw from it, eager to put the scene of their killings behind them. Sympathy demonstrations began in other cities. Ceausescu warned that he would use similar force against any and all of them if they continued. On December 21st, he went outside the presidential palace to harangue a crowd on live national television. I wonder if that was his mistake. For the first time in his 24 years of power, he was met with shaken fists, hoots and jeers, and shouts of Ceausescu dictator, lasting a full 3 minutes. Startled, he began to wave his hands ineffectually. Elena hissed at him, "Be calm, be calm." Then the nation's television screens went blank. The crowd grew to 15,000 in the course of the day and was finally broken up by the security police, who killed 13 people. The next day, large crowds surrounded the building used by the party central committee in Palace Square in Bucharest. Still full of manic confidence, Ceausescu came out to speak to them, but someone had turned off the microphone. There was fighting in the streets. The people were entering the building. Nicolae and Elena Ceausescu boarded a waiting helicopter just ahead of the attacking crowd. The helicopter landed short of its destination by an open road. Nicolae and Elena leapt out and tried to flag a passing truck. A few minutes later, they were arrested. Many of the rest of the government shed its communist structure and very soon its communist name, blamed Ceausescu of everything, and got away with it. The reconstituted government disposed of the Ceausescus with lightning speed. On Christmas Day, 1989, they were brought before a drumhead court-martial, convicted and executed. Warren Carroll, The Rise and Fall of the Communist Revolution, pages 742 and 743. And while the era of persecution officially culminated with the fall of the satellites, 1989 through 1991, and the dissolution of the Soviet Union, 1991, the winds of change began much earlier than that. The death of Stalin in 1953 was a good start. Nikolai Khrushchev actually denounced Stalin and allowed the publication of a book exposing the horrors of the Gulag labor camps. Speaking at a Moscow rally, July 19, 1963, Khrushchev threw away his prepared text and made his most vehement recorded public assault on Stalin, calling him one of the worst tyrants in history, who had stayed in power only by the headman's axe. Quote, Khrushchev, in 1962, authorized the publication of Alexander Solzhenitsyn's short novel, One Day in the Life of Ivan Denisovich, the first explicit account of the horrors of Stalin's labor camps to be printed in the Soviet Union. This act of Khrushchev may well have been, from the vantage point of history, second in importance only to his own denunciation of Stalin. For Solzhenitsyn was a voice no man and no system could silence once it had been heard. Warren H. Carroll, The Rise and Fall of Communist Revolution, page 494. And continuing with that same book on pages 529 and 530, quote, to many in the party, Khrushchev's permission for the publication of Solzhenitsyn's book was a major error which rendered the follow-up writings inevitable and had potential for seriously endangering the regime. Unquote. Of course, Khrushchev was an evil communist who threatened nuclear war with the U.S., which never came to pass. Told the world at the UN that we will bury you, and wanted to profit politically by the denunciation of Stalin. But the fact that he could actually get away with denouncing Stalin and allowing the publication of a book exposing the Gulag showed how things were beginning to change inside the Soviet Union, how the era of persecution was coming to an end, which eventually led to the collapse of the regime in 1991. Question: but China and North Korea still persecute Catholics as Russia did under Stalin, etc. Answer: Our Lady never promised that China, etc., would convert. She indicated that Russia would be converted to a certain period of peace. The fact that Pope Pius XII did it late is surely why communism was able to spread to these other countries even after his consecration, such as China, North Korea, Cuba. As stated already in the Message of Fatima on August 19th, Our Lady told the children, quote, if you had not been taken away by the administrator on August 13th to the city, the miracle of October 13th would have been greater. The Whole Truth About Fatima, page 235, volume 1. She told the children that their arrest on August 13th by the evil administrator of Al-Ram, which prevented them from being at the apparition site that day, caused the miracle on October 13th to be less profound than it would have been. I just want to make a note here, something that came to my mind, is that, see how one person who seems unimportant in his role or job can make such a profound difference on something. Okay, so you want to make sure that you're not on that administrator's side, but you're on Our Lady's side. Again, the effects can be profound in the positive. Likewise, the Pope doing the consecration of Russia late caused its conversion to peace not to be as profound as it would have been, such as preventing the spread of communism to these other countries. God and Our Lady promised that the persecution would end in Russia, and they obviously included the satellite nations of Russia, such as Poland, etc. In the promise, for these were in reality only extensions of the Soviet Empire, and this has occurred. Sister Lucy to Father Concalves, summarizing the Toy Vision of 1930, quote, the good Lord promises to end the persecution in Russia, if the Holy Father will himself make a solemn act of reparation and consecration of Russia to the Sacred Hearts of Jesus and Our Lady, as well as ordering all the bishops of the Catholic Church to do the same. The Holy Father must then promise that upon the ending of this persecution, he will approve and recommend the practice of the repertory devotion already described. Unquote. The Whole Truth About Fatima, Volume 2, page 465. We're going to stop there for today, and tomorrow we'll talk about some leftover objections. And remember, this what I'm reading is from the website, but it's quoting Brother Michael Diamond. Okay, so just to put that in context, if you hear things that don't sound quite like what we believe. All right, let's get started with Mass. Deum vobiscum et quoque apotei. Oremus. O Most Holy Trinity, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Holy Trinity, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum Hanc Immaculatum Hostium, quam ego indignius famulos tuus offeriti Deum meum vivum et verum, pro inimiribus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis et pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catholicorum vivis atque defunctis ut mihi edidis proficietat salutem. Deum qui culminae substantiae dignitatem mirabilita condidis et mirabilis reformastu da nobis spiritus atque divine mysterium, eius divinitatis esse consortis qui minitatis nostrae, fidelidad nostris et protecepts Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem salutaris tuum da peccatis clementium ut aspectu divinae majestatis tuae, pro nostra totius mundi salute cum odori suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo contrito suscipiam orate Deum Iesum Christum et fiat sacrificium nostrum in conspectu tuo hodie, ut placiet tibi Deum Matron nostra Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, veni sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Et sanctificita blata prosequendo et accapere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomini praeparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas concoblationum cum tibi aferimus a momentum passiones, resurrectiones et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Deum Matronam nostra et a Papa Peter Sanctorum, et istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut iris proficietat honorem, nobis autem et salutem et ili pro nobis intercedere in inter caelis, coram amorem agimus in te disperidum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate ut meum ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat a Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis et laudam et gloriam nominis sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostrum totiusque ecclesiae suae sanctae. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apud te, sursum corda habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te ego hoc limites in mater et pater et Deum Matronum nostra et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum per Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus ac petimus, uti accepta habeas. Et sanctam sanctificas haec sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primis quae tibi afferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam quam pacificare custodire adonare et regere digneris toto orbiterarum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famulorum famulocituorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. We especially pray for Katie, Gage, R.M., Martin, Neil and Earl Lovely, Maria Josephina Moes, Letitia, Mindy Mark Jr., Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Mr. Nobody, Amble Tink, the Cantu and Duarte families, Michaela McLarnon and family, Sarah and Becky, Jenna Lena Laurie and family, Maria and the Lineweber family, the Kendrick, Dosco, Nye, Tafur, Began, Wolf, and Kane families and all their intentions, and Alex Tafur and Nick. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of the Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange with no usury. And we pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. All this and more we ask in accordance with the Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany's divine will. Et omnium circumstantiam coram tibi fides cognita est in ordo devotio, pro quibus tibi afferimus vel tibi front hoc sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum prospe salutis et gula amitatis suae, tibi queredunt vota sua aeterno Deum viva et vero. Communicante semamone honorantes in primis gloriosae, semper Deum matram nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Beatorum Martyrium Torum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Luci, et Sancti Jacinti, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium Sanctorum Tuorum Corum Meditis praecibusque concedas ut in omnibus protectionis Tuae muniam rexidio per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus consecratum acceptabilemque feceri dignitis ut nobis corpum, et sanguim fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panem sanctus aqua honorabilis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum aete Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, fregit, dedique luminis sui dicens accipite et manducati ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simili modo postquam ceremonia est accipiens et hunc praecalum caricem in sanctus aqua honorabilis manus suas, idem tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique luminis sui dicens accipite et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum, haec quod est cum feceritis in meum facetis. Unde et memoris Deum nos servituis et plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostrae, tam beate passionis nec non et ab inferdis resurrectionis, sed et in caelos gloriosae ascensionis offedimus praeclare majestati tuae de tuis donis actatis, supra quae propitio ac sereno vultur respiциeri digneris. Supplices te ragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, iuve hec per manus tuum ut quod ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem sincerimus, omni sanctificatione caeles et gratia Dei per amor per innum Christum Deum nostrae. We pray for those who have died. We especially pray for Yolanda Santa Croce, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibum in Christum quis gentibum locum refegeri lucis et pagis und odor geste proclamor per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Per quem hec omnia Deum Iesum Christum semper bona creas sanctificas, vivicas, consecratis et praestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matram omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Dea, Matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Sanctam tuum in mulieribus, Dea Matronam nostrae Matram, Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quaesimus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, praesentibus et futuris et interrecedente, beata et gloriosa semper Dea Matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis, da propitius pacem in Diebus nostris, quod ope misericordiae Tuae aduit et peccato, simul semper liberi et ab omni perturbazione securi. Per iendum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te, haec mixtio et consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat ac pietibus nobis in et salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, coprante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuam unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum abolibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper inhalare mandatis, et unum quam separare permittas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis et regnam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum corrego indinius sumere praesum non mihi proveniat in judicium et condonationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit mihi atutum in benedictio corporis, et ad me delam percipiendam qui vivis et reinas cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem calestem accipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrum non sunt dignus, ut subtete meis, and tante corpus patronum mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignus, ut subtete meis, and tante corpus patronum mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignus, ut subtete meis, and tante corpus patronum mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum, custodia et anima mea. Quid retubum Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus, quae retubum mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem in nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo, laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis meis salvos ero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodia et anima mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodia et animam tuum. Codori subsumus Deum Iesum Christum puramente capiam et timore et temperae fit nobis remedium sempiternum. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum quod sumpsi et sanguis quam potavi et heriat, scelibus meis apraesta ut in me non remaniat, scelor macula quam pirat sancta reficerunt sacramenta. Deum Vobiscum, et quoque te, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids. We beseech thee, O most holy Trinity, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family, forever and ever. Deum Vobiscum, et quoque te, ite mise est. Deum gratia. Plagia tibi sancta Trinitam obsequium servitutis meae, et praesta ut sacrificium corocolis tuae maestatis in minus optilitibis et acceptable miquet omnibus, proquibus idut optoliciti miserati perpetuare percursum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesu Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O most holy Trinity, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most holy Trinity, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Good day, Eve. There she is. I see that. I mention her name and she appears. And thank you, everyone, for attending and for praying, especially for praying, and for being here on this first Saturday of the month. Please go and sanctify all those you meet, and please also pray for my speedy health recovery. It shouldn't take long if I can rest. All right. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. Okay? Take care. See you tomorrow.